all know the drill here. Join us up. This is Wholesome Monster Girl Academia. And we start off in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Sacred Heart of Jesus, we entrust all that we create to you. For it is by your will that we are able to create in the first place. Look down upon us, and reveal to us the treasures of love, goodness, and grace in your most loving heart. Forgive our sins and fortify our weaknesses, that we may serve you faithfully as you deserve. These favors we ask for ourselves, for every community we encounter, both online and offline. May all that we do embody your truth and everlasting love. Make us more like you, and shape all that we create to fit within your divine will for us. Heart of Jesus, pierced by a soldier's lance on Calvary, be our refuge in life and our gateway to paradise. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I had to push that right up to my face. I was reading from my phone. That was from Jerry Purwood. It's the streamer's prayer. Okay, and so I'm doing it, of course, because clearly this is a Catholic visual novel. As I'm heading towards the dorm hallways, I flip through my newly acquired book. I should be able to knock it off for free 2 to 3 chapters each night. Maybe more if it gets interesting. Now, if I remember correctly, we got the Mere Humanity or Mere Human or Man. And it's a short book. I mean, if you read, it doesn't take long to read it all. Observing the plain emptiness of the hallway, I'm suddenly filled with an intense longing. I knew it would be different being away from home, but I'm already missing the security of being in my own house, my own room. Then I start thinking of all the people I've met so far. I wonder if it's going to be worth it. If this is going to help me as I take my first steps in the real world. It is really different being here all alone. But at least I am slowly digging a foothold into this place and making the most of it. I round the corner and ran into Damien, his face as tired as ever. Ah, Gabe. Yo. Hey, how's it going? Damien stretches and let out a big yawn. Just fine. Just about to get ready for a more homecoming planning committee stuff. Homecoming? We had that earlier in my other school this year. Yeah, go new then special. And nah, it was really just, it wasn't really that close romantically with anyone at all at that school. At least I never got a chance to. I'm reminded of Sophia, the bunny girl from my old school again. I wonder if anything could have ever happened between us. Certainly not at the public school. Well, there's always this school. Do you have an eye on anyone? In class or outside? I really haven't thought about it much until now, but most of the people I've talked to since coming here have been girls. Cute girls at that. I've never really considered dating a monster girl either. For that matter, you just lied because you just thought about Sophia. Again, not that I've thought about dating much in the first place. Well, it certainly isn't for lack of girls around me, but I doubt anyone would be interested. Well, I wouldn't be so sure. I've seen how some of the girls in our class look at you. Don't underestimate your influence as a new student. Some newness is awkward for the new kid, but attention is attention. And it's not like anyone's giving you any negative attention so far, right? Well, that's true. So far, not, except being punched in the shoulder by Ren. I mean, or being harassed or looked at like that by the kitty girl. Still, I think it might be presumptuous of me to ask a girl to dance this early. Well, in that case, you're luck. It's a tradition of this school, for whatever reason, for the girls to ask the boys to homecoming dance. I've been homeschooled, so correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't homecoming supposed to be later in the school year, not in the when it first starts? I mean, I know it's not prom in the last dance, but I thought it was in the middle part of it. That kind of reminds me of the Sadie Hawkins dance traditions I heard about. They use the same basic premise. Well, I'll let you think about it for a couple of days, and if you find that you have anyone that you're eye on, I'm pretty connected. I'm going to put in a good word for you. What do you think? Sure, I guess. There are a lot of cute girls in class, but I feel more comfortable after getting knowing them for a bit more. Fair enough. Anyway, not to change the subject or anything, but do you mind if I take you up on your offer from yesterday? I mean, questions about monster people. Yeah, sure. Answer away. Ask away. Boy, it's 11 o'clock and I'm acting like it's in the middle of the night. This will be a good opportunity to learn more about my fellow classmates, so I should ask as many questions as I can. Well, I can. Okay, so what we're going to do. So it might be a bit awkward to ask about succubi, but I'll get it out of the way. What's the relation with demons and sex, if any? Yeah, it's a common conception to have about them, considering their depictions in various fantasy works and of old legends. The succubi you see walking among human and monster kind are not demonic in nature, but of human natures completely. You have to keep in mind that demons, like angels, are completely spiritual by nature. So to call something with a physical body a demon just isn't making metaphysical sense, and that makes logical sense. Some attribute their appearance to the same legend of the Nephilim that is said to have caused most of our variations, but nobody truly knows the answer. As for the sexual stuff, all I know is that succubi do have some unique qualities about them that can be related to that. For instance, when a succubus likes somebody or even more strongly feels love or infatuation, it may produce a very sweet scent that some might find alluring. The thing is, usually only if the object of affection is said to have the ability to smell it. Besides that, they do have the unique ability to influence dreams, their own and others. I wonder if that's what Eva reads all the time. If that's why Eva reads all the time. Perhaps she is lucid dreaming in each of her novels' fantasy worlds. That must be nice. Okay, next will be daywalkers and vampires. So Father John told me that daywalkers like yourself don't like to be compared to vampires. What's the connection there? Please forgive my ignorance. No worries, man. I asked you to ask, and so I shall answer. As far as being compared to vampires, considering our similarities, it's understandable, so I'm not offended when someone has questions. For others, it might be tiresome to hear the same questions over and over and over, especially when many equate vampirism with being a daywalker. But to start, how familiar are you with vampires? Honestly, not that much. Everything I know is through rumors and news articles I've read. There weren't any daywalkers in my previous school or church, and frankly, I've never run into a person until yesterday when I met two. That's fair, considering how rare we are. Let's start from the beginning then. The facts surrounding full-fledged vampires are veiled in mystery, so a lot of their origins come down to legends and a few modern public cases. According to vampiric legends, a human must pledge their soul to the devil or another demon in an evil ritual and then die immediately after. Of course, there's always the one willful giving into vampirism case, but both possibilities, there aren't many public examples to examine. So if they give up their souls or whatever at death, that basically means they're possessed, the walking damned, reprobates. And for those of you who don't know, reprobate is someone who is living in sin and kind of clings to that sin. But it doesn't turn away from sin. It's all speculation, but if the legends are true, then I would speculate so, and so does the church. So if a person turns into a vampire, they lose all their free will, just like that. No chance for redemption? Again. If everything in the legends are true, then yes, full vampires would have to be considered 100% evil beings. The church documents I've read say that the vampires are the closest things with physical bodies that you could consider demonic. This has to do with how they are supposedly created, which appears to include dying, effectively locking the state of their soul in place. And that makes sense. Okay, the legends I get, but in the end, we still aren't completely sure about this is how one becomes a vampire, pretty much. The main problem is that the very few modern cases of vampirism don't tell us much. First of all, none of the ones who are captured ever speak of how they're turned. It's like they're guarding some kind of shared dark secret. Some say it's part of their pact, though there is no evidence of it. Others say it's because they're feral, but they can speak on other matters too. Either way, it's just one of the things they share in common. Secondly, only some of them have evidence of those supposedly rituals ever happening, enough to have me convinced at least. Third, the evidence for vampirism transference comes from a single case where they just pieced together a recently turned vampire's journal entry. Seems that there's still a lot known about vampires, though Damien seems pretty convinced of what he's learned about them. Considering Father John's trust in Damien, I'm going to assume that even though the church recognizes vampires are as evil, it has no problem with daywalkers. Whatever the case, I have no reason to disbelieve Damien or his sources. If I'm interested, maybe I'll check them out later myself. So what's the actual difference between vampires and daywalkers? Whereas vampires are said to be able to die from the little sun exposure, we daywalkers are a bit more hardy under the sun. Sun exposure can still give us headaches, nausea, and even flu-like symptoms known as sun sickness if we stay out too long, however. Some of us are fully nocturnal for this reason, though it's kind of hard to fit into society that way. Oh, is that why you look tired all the time? I figured the student council was just working you to death. That's my fault. I get more done if I stay up all night and all day. I can still function during the increase in vitality, but I am often tired. As if reminded by the fact, Damon stretches and lets out a big yawn. Our only other curse is that we're basically carnivores. Animal blood works too, but it's not necessary. We can eat and drink other things, it's just not as nourishing and even just unappealing. Considering their diet, I've only heard rumors about them drinking human blood too. I'm going to ask about it. It's better time now than never. So what about human blood? Damien grins at the question, clearly amused by it, or perhaps in anticipation of my action would be. We drink it, but don't worry, we don't need human blood to survive. There are only two reasons a daywalker would do that, for taste and for practicality. For every ounce of human blood we drink, we can stay out in the sun for 24 hours. It also gives us a little boost, something to the effect of a bunch of caffeine or a small dose of adrenaline for about half an hour per ounce. I must be reacting with some kind of disgust because Damien feels the need to reassure me about it. Seeing your reaction to this information, it's clear that you're uncomfortable about the idea, but don't fret. Not every daywalker likes the idea of drinking human blood. Some of us go our whole lives without drinking a single drop. But for those that want or need to partake for the medical reasons, there's a system set up among blood donation centers to regulate its control. There are blood shortages and blood banks everywhere after all. So it's an elective service that's highly rationed. Expensive, too. I seem to remember reading about an article about some time ago about a group of daywalkers that would steal from blood banks, though they were quite quickly dealt with. Back then I thought that daywalkers, like vampires, had to drink human blood to survive. I almost pitied them for it, but with a healthy dose of fear. Still, if they don't have to live off human blood, it's just making me uncomfortable with the fact that they can. Just a little less now than before. I mean, otherwise, in that sense, daywalkers, in that sense, have become drug addicts. Other than all that, we have increased vitality and a high resistance to disease, though nothing close to immortality. We're pretty good at concealing our presence. If we don't want to be found, it'll be hard to find us. That sure is a lot to take in. Thanks for taking the time to explain it all. Is there anything else? Well, we've talked about vampires and succubi. Let's talk about harpies. What do you know about harpies? I've heard they can fly with their wings. Is that true? In some cases, yes, but it'd be a solo adventure. The old stories about harpies picking up people are mostly as myth as far as I know. They are, however, pretty light due to their bone densities in their arms and legs. This is what enables them to fly in the first place. Personality-wise, though, they can be very impulsive. Where do you think the term bird brain comes from? That doesn't mean that they can't be highly intelligent. On the contrary, many are. They just come with attention deficit disorders by default. So Sarah would just be talking all of a sudden, squirrel, ball, shiny thing. And yes, their claws are formidable weapons compared to short daggers. So many of them keep them dull for that reason. Interesting, good to know. Besides that, you might be familiar with Pretty Cherry. You might be familiar with is Pretty Cherry, so you don't have to worry about any dangers around her. The one you know. Okay, I've noticed. I'm not worried about her though, so it's a good inspiration to never get on her bad side. Okay, Dragonkin. How about Dragonkin? Are they as fierce, all as fierce as Ren seems to be? Honestly, I wouldn't blame you for that assumption, because most Dragonkin I've seen seem like they have something to prove. However, there are some kinder, more gentler ones that completely break the stereotype. Ren certainly is a shining example of the fighting spirit, though. She takes advantage of the Dragonkin's natural strength and pushes it to past its limits. It's likely that she'll be able to qualify for men's fighting leagues as an adult at this rate. Fun and really, in fact, yes, they can bellow out smoke from their esophagus when they're oiled up. It makes me wonder if they were really historical fire-breathing dragons that they're somehow descended from. Alright, so we've done harpies, we've done dragons, we've done succubi and daywalkers, so it's up to slime girls. I've been curious about slime girls. I don't even know where to start with questions about their physiology, much less to start the rumors about them being aliens. Yeah, they can be complicated people to piece together, if you pardon the pun. They're probably the most versatile monster people I've met. They can eat and absorb nutrients by putting food and really anything with calories in any part of their body. Of course, they can seem to control this, so there's no risk of being digested yourself if you happen to come into physical contact with one. They seem not to really like the cold very much, but they also seem to be able to control their body temperature too. Inside their bodies, they have a solid core which hosts the control for their whole body. Heart, brain, nerves, and whatever magic that keeps them together. And they can be taken apart. They can also take on just about any shape, though if they aren't used to being in that shape, it can look kind of funny. So, in other words, like Ditto. You should ask Clover to show you a few funny head shapes of animals. She likes to show them off for a laugh sometimes. This is very interesting, but doesn't answer the one thing I'd really like to know. No, so are they from outer space? Is Clover a real-life alien? I've heard the rumors too, but honestly, it's never been prevalent enough for me to bother looking up. All evidence I've seen points to conspiracies surrounding Area 51 and scientists wanting to experiment on slime people for their regenerative properties. Who knows if it's true? If you ever do any research on the matter and find something tangible, let me know. I think that's it. We got it all. That was protective and fairly enlightening. Hopefully I've asked all the questions I need to avoid future misunderstandings. Either way, I can always come back to him again and ask more specific questions if I have concerns about. Well, it's about time I get going. I need to scarf down some food before the meeting. Good luck out there. Yeah, you too. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. You too, I guess. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. That's not a nice statement. Gabe. Damien resumes his steady pace down the hall, waving one hand in the air. Behind him is his farewell. I wave back in the same manner, despite him not being able to see me. Are you sure about that? I want to check something real fast. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, we only have the one thing about Damien, so I don't, anyway, no. I notice the futility of doing so too late. Thinking back on the conversation with Damien, I wonder myself if I really do have any feelings for any of the girls in my class. Dude, you just met them for 2 days. Get a grip. They seem pretty friendly for me. If any of them were to have a crush on me, that'd be icing on the cake. Did I luck out here with not only friends, but potential girlfriend material too? I shouldn't get too full of myself. It's better to remain humble. I'm not here to date anyone necessarily. I've never really dated anyone too seriously in the past either, so it's not like I've got any real experience. At least here I won't have any racial problems to deal with. Everyone seems to get fine just regardless of the human or monster status. It's just better for me to focus on our friendships for now. If something blossoms naturally from that, that's fine by me. That's the way things should be, shouldn't they? Yes. Dating should be with a good friend who share my many common interests. Aside from the obvious physical attraction, right? Bingo. Putting that aside for now, I'd better get started with this book so I can finish it by next Monday. That's a lot of words to take in. Alright, so that was Monday, we're on Tuesday. The next day, on the way to the first class, I ponder what Damon said about the homecoming dance. And maybe homecoming is the first dance of the school year. You're homecoming, you're homing home to school. Maybe that's it. Being a homeschooled, I don't know. I don't want to be awkward about it, but I'm curious about what the girls in my class, oh my god, think about it. Unfortunately, I don't have to wait long because I overhear a few of the girls huddled around each other discussing just that. So Sarah, have you got your eye on anyone this year for homecoming dance? Good God, Clover. What kind of face is that? Me? I might have someone, but I still haven't decided. I'm pretty busy with homecoming committee itself, after all, and I might be too busy to ask someone. What about you, Clover? As you know, I'm not that big into school spirit things, much less anything that extroverted. She's an introvert. At least she and I have that in common. It's a hard pass for me. And you, Eva? Well, I mean, I am an evangelical. That's what her fan base is. Well, if someone were to ask me, it would depend on their personality and stuff, I guess. Oh, you know that's not how it works. Yeah, you're gonna have to ask whoever you want to take you on a DATE if you want to go. You'll push Clover with a book in retaliation for her teasing. Stop it! I know. There's just not anyone who's sparked my interest. Yet. Maybe. Not that there's anyone like that around here. Not even the new guy, Gabe. She purposely says my name a bit louder than the rest and looks over in my direction with a spark on her face and trouble in her eyes. Eva responds by blushing with a blushing scowl. Clover, that's enough. Leave poor Eva alone. Okay. Just then, Ren walks in and greets the group. Yo, what's everyone talking about? Oh, huddle up. Oh, we're just talking about they're interested in taking to the homecoming next Friday. Do you have anyone you're asking? Not really, though I wouldn't mind going with friends to just party. Besides, it's okay to let loose every once in a while. Definitely, I can't wait to make this event everyone remembers. As the conversation concludes, Sister Talia walks in and has everyone take their seats. Good morning, class. As you're all aware, the homecoming dance theme was decided last night as a Monster Mash theme. Since it's so close to Halloween, it was decided that instead of something formal, everyone will come in costume instead. Now I'm sure you're all excited, but don't let it get in the way of your studies. Alright, let's get started. Everyone open your books to page. And so class continues as usual until lunchtime. After grabbing my food from the cafeteria, I journey outside again. The courtyard is as busy as ever. Today, however, I do not see Sarah and Ren in the same place as before. Continue scanning the groups of students until I notice Clover and Eva sitting together in the shade of a giant oak tree. Eva's reading a book with one hand and eating, while Clover chats animatedly beside her. The way they can multitask, that astounds me. I might not know much about them yet, but they would probably be beneficial to reach out to people on my own for once. I make a resolute decision to casually tread in their direction, dodging through the few people passing by. Many of them was probably trying to get your attention and know you better. I try to catch a glance at the title of the book Eva's reading, but it's just at the wrong angle for me to see. As I approach, Clover looks up at me with her tired gaze. Hey, mind if I sit here? Clover continues to stare in my direction and analyzes me for a moment before giving me a dopey grin and answering. We don't mind at all. What's up, new guy? Thanks, not much. Still getting my bearings and figuring out I'd stick with faces I know and then, I guess to get to know them better? What, our faces? I mean, to get to know you guys a bit more since we haven't really interacted much. Great, off to an awkward start. Clover knows it. Self-introductions aren't really my strong point, but that's okay. The hard part is over now to build it from here. So how do you two know each other? Well, I go to the computer lab after school, as you know, from yesterday. Since that's our library, Eva and I ended up running into each other most days. Your dad picks you up, right? Yeah, like I said yesterday. He works pretty late most days, and I'm too impatient for the bus. Unless I need more computer power for the bigger games, of course. Of course. And your mom doesn't pick you up because she's deceased. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, my bad. I just assumed she would work later. I guess I should have been more sensitive to subtleties in speech. Don't worry about it. She passed away when I was too young to remember her. My dad talks about her often, though. Says I remind him of her in some ways. Well, that's good, I suppose. Yeah, apparently she was a scientist. I guess like mother, like daughter, since Clover seems to know her way about the computer, and then some. More than me, for sure. When Clover and I are talking, I notice Eva peeking her eyes from her book, as she's interested in the conversation but doesn't want to be obvious about it. Take the opportunity to include her despite the fact that she's busy reading. So what book are you reading now, Eva? Eva jumps as a surprise that she was called out while still peeking over her book. She tries to play it off like she was still engrossed in the book. Who, me? No, the other Eva by the courtyard. Nothing particularly interesting right now, huh? I'm catching up on a romance? That's your favorite, right? Eva blushes at this and gets flustered. A fantasy series. I was saying I'm catching up on a fantasy series. I mean, it has romance in it, but it's not a romance. Same thing, right? Most fantasy games I play don't have romance in them, so I wouldn't call them romance. But yours does. Oh yeah? What about your visual novel things? What do those count as? Hey, those can be science fi and fantasy too, you know. These two seem amusing together. They're definitely close since they're used to teasing each other, but only Eva seems to get flustered over it. My intuition about Clover being a troublemaker was right on the money. How about you? What kind of things are you into? Are you a gamer? A reader? An athlete? Oh, you know a little bit of everything, really. But if I had to pick a hobby I was especially into, it would be, let's think about this a little bit. I only do dabble in a lot of hobbies, but if I have anything in common with these two that might build on our relationship, or maybe I prefer something they wouldn't care for, it's better to be honest with myself with others. There's no point in starting off a friendship under false pretenses. Gaming, reading, self-improvement. Anyway, well, that's 3 out of the 4 for me. Although I do definitely am slowly getting into self-improvement. Getting up earlier does help with that. My chair don't break, please. But gaming right now. Recently I got a new laptop for school, but I made sure to get one that could handle most games coming out. Oh yeah, what games do you play? A handful of popular ones, but also some indie hits. You know, like RuneScape, Counterattack, but also things like Cave Tale and Understory. Your palette for games seems well-rounded. I'm impressed. Do you play Final 14th, 9th? You seem to know what it was yesterday. Never really played anything with a subscription before, but maybe you could talk me into it sometime. Show you my character and stuff. Our conversations continue along those lines for a while until the bell rings, signaling that we should wrap things up and make it to our next class. Eva carefully puts a bookmark in her book and closes it while Clover picks up her lunch items and prepares for their disposal. See you around, Gabe. Yeah, see you. Eva also gives me a quick wave goodbye and I return the gesture with a similarly quick wave and smile. I pick up my stuff and start heading back into the building for our next class. Okay, with that, we're going to leave. Let's see, as you can see, I'm getting tongue twisted. I gotta stop. So, I'm gonna save. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna save. We'll get this back up next Sunday. I will talk to you guys next video, for this Sunday. Uma Musume will be tomorrow or Tuesday. I think that's going to be my next name. Our main series I'm going to be working on for a while anyway, because it's got me hooked. So, you guys stay safe, take care, God bless each and every one of you. Lord, I hope that whatever you guys need, He knows. He'll protect you. I'll guide you in what you need. And God bless. And I'll see you soon. Charter Sought out.